Listen closely. This isn't a story about survival. This isn't a story about waiting for someone to save you. This is the story of how you, against all odds, shattered the chains that bound you. Not the polished, pretty chains they show in the movies, but the invisible ones. The doubts, fears, and whispers of defeat that wrapped around your soul like a noose. The ones you've carried so long, they almost felt like part of you. Almost, but not anymore. Today is not just another day. It's the day you stop pretending those chains still hold you. The day you realize that what once confined you no longer has the power to define you. You're at a crossroads, staring down a decision that will change the course of your life forever. Will you keep dragging the ghosts of those chains behind you, or will you let them go and rise into the person you were meant to become? Let's not sugarcoat it. Life hasn't been kind. You've been wandering in the dark for so long that the light feels like a lie. You've carried a weight on your back, so heavy it's left you hunched and tired, feeling like you'll never stand tall again. But here's the truth they didn't want you to know. The chains. They're already broken. That weight you're still carrying, it's not yours anymore. The prison you thought was impenetrable, the door's been open this whole time. You've been sitting in a cage with no lock, clinging to bars that don't exist. Why? Because they told you it was safer inside. Because fear whispered in your ear and said, what if you fail out there? Because doubt told you that you weren't strong enough to survive without them. And for a while you believed it. But deep down, didn't you always feel it? That quiet, burning ember inside you, screaming that this isn't where your story ends? Sometimes this is your wake-up call. Not the gentle kind, but the kind that shakes you to your core. The kind that slaps you across the face and says, enough. Enough of living half a life. Enough of giving your power away. Enough of letting the past dictate your future. You are not the person they said you were. You are not the mistakes you've made or the failures you've endured. You are something far greater than the chains that tried to break you. You're a sun and light. Do you feel that fire rising in your chest? That's the truth you've been ignoring. The truth that says you are capable of more than surviving. You are capable of thriving. But thriving isn't comfortable. Thriving means stepping into the unknown. It means leaving behind the lies you've been fed, the excuses you've clung to, and the fears you've let fester. Thriving means standing up and saying, I refuse to be held back any longer. You're capable of so much more than just enduring. You are capable of so much more. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine a world where those chains, those fears, and those doubts no longer control you. Imagine stepping out of the shadows, standing tall and owning your place in the sun. Imagine the weight lifting off your shoulders as you realize that freedom isn't something they can give you, it's something you claim for yourself. It's been waiting for you all along. But here's the thing. Freedom comes with responsibility. It's not enough to acknowledge that the chains are broken. You have to step forward. You have to decide right here and right now that you will no longer be a prisoner of your past. Because if you don't take that step, no one will take it for you. This is your moment. This is your chance. Don't you dare let it slip away. Look at yourself. Really look. Not the version of you they've made you believe in, but the real you. The you who has endured heartbreak and still stands. The you who has faced rejection and kept going. The you who has been knocked down but never stayed down. That person is a fighter. That person is a survivor. And that person is ready to rise. It's time to stop hiding behind excuses. Stop waiting for permission. Stop letting fear keep you small. The world is full of people who will tell you to stay in your cage because it makes them feel safer. Your freedom terrifies them because it forces them to confront their own chains. But their fear is not your burden to carry. Let them watch as you break free. Let them see what happens when someone refuses to be held back any longer. Feel the urgency in these words. This is not just another speech. This is the line in the sand, the point of no return. The moment you decide whether you will remain shackled by the lies you've been told or step boldly into the life you deserve. It's not easy, but it's simple. Take the step, make the move, own your power because no one else can do it for you. The chains that used to hold you back are now broken. The question is, what will you do with your freedom? Will you stay in the shadows pretending you're still bound? Or will you rise with all the fire and fury of someone who has tasted freedom for the first time? The choice is yours, but I'll tell you this. There's a world waiting for you, a world of possibility, a world of strength, a world where you are no longer defined by what tried to break you. The chains are broken. Now, step forward. This is your time. This is your story, and it's just getting started. You've been carrying a weight that doesn't belong to you. It clings to your back like stones stacked one by one, each one a whisper of judgment, a glare of disapproval, a standard you never asked for but somehow felt obligated to meet. These stones, these opinions, these expectations, they weren't yours to bear, yet they've become your burden. And no matter how many steps you take, the load doesn't get lighter. It only grows, pressing down on your shoulders until you forget what it feels like to stand tall. You've given everything you had. You've poured yourself into people, into work, into dreams that never seemed to bear fruit. You've stayed up at night, replaying conversations, questioning your worth, wondering if you're enough. And even when you gave your all, when you stretched yourself thin, broke yourself into pieces just to fit into someone else's mold, it still wasn't enough. They still wanted more. More of your time, more of your energy, more of your soul. And in their greed, they left you empty. Let's name the villains in this story, shall we? The ones who whispered lies into your ear until you started to believe them. They told you that your dreams were too big, that your voice was too loud, that your light was too bright. They dressed their jealousy as concern, their fear as wisdom, their cruelty as care. I just don't want to see you get hurt, they said. But what they really meant was, I don't want to see you succeed because your success will remind me of my failure. And the worst part? You believed them. You let their words sink into your skin like poison. Slowly, it seeped into your bloodstream, clouding your judgment, dimming your light. You started to doubt yourself. You started to think that maybe they were right. Maybe you weren't enough. Maybe you were too much. Maybe you didn't deserve the dreams that kept you awake at night, the ones that set your soul on fire. And so you shrank. You dimmed your light. You buried your dreams. Not because you wanted to, but because the weight of their expectations felt unbearable. You are not alone in this. Your pain is uniquely yours, but it's also universal. How many others are walking this earth, carrying invisible chains of doubt, fear, and guilt? How many others have been told to stay small, to be quiet, to fit into boxes that were never meant for them? You've seen them. You felt their silent struggle in the way they avoid eye contact, the way they apologize for taking up space, the way they laugh a little too quickly to hide the pain. And you felt it in yourself, in the way you hesitate before speaking your truth, in the way you second-guess your worth, in the way you've convinced yourself that your dreams are too much to ask for. It's exhausting, isn't it? This endless cycle of trying to please everyone else while slowly losing yourself. It's like running on a treadmill, expending all your energy but getting nowhere. You wake up tired, you go to bed tired, and in between, you're haunted by the feeling that something is missing, that there's a life you were meant to live, a person you were meant to be, but you can't quite reach it. You're trapped in a loop, shackled by chains that were never meant to define you. These chains, they're not physical, but they're just as real. They're made of fear, woven together with threads of self-doubt and stitched tight with the lies you've been told. You'll never make it. You're not good enough. What makes you think you're special? These words echo in your mind over and over until they become a part of you, until you stop questioning them, until you start believing that this is just the way life is. Hard, unfair, and unforgiving. But let me tell you something. These chains, they don't belong to you. They never did. They were placed on you by people who didn't know your worth, who were too blinded by their own fears and insecurities to see the light in you. And over time, you started carrying them as if they were yours, as if you were the one who had to pay the price for their shortcomings. But the truth is, you've been carrying their pain, their fear, their doubt, not yours, and it's time to let it go. I know what you're feeling right now, the exhaustion, the hopelessness, the isolation. It feels like you're standing in the middle of a storm with no shelter in sight. The wind is howling, the rain is pouring, and every step forward feels like a battle. You look around and wonder if anyone else feels the way you do. You wonder if anyone else understands the weight you're carrying. But here's the thing, you're not alone. There are countless others who have stood where you stand now, who have felt the same pain, the same fear, the same doubt, and they made it through. So will you. Your struggle is real and it's valid, but it doesn't define you. The chains that have held you back are not who you are. They are only a chapter in your story, not the whole book. You are not the weight you carry. You are not the lies you've believed. You are not the failures you've endured. You are so much more than that. Your strength, your resilience. You are a fighter. They thought they could break you with their words, their expectations, their doubts. But here's the truth. Every time they tried to break you, they only made you stronger. Every stone they placed on your back became a stepping stone. Every chain they wrapped around you taught you how to fight. And every time they tried to silence you, they forgot that silence has a power of its own. The power to reflect, to grow, to prepare for the moment you finally speak. This is not where your story ends, this is where it begins. Those struggles you've endured, the pain you've carried, they were never meant to destroy you, they were meant to shape you, to prepare you for the moment you realize your power. And that moment, it's coming. Hold on, keep going, because what's waiting for you on the other side of this struggle is worth every tear, every sleepless night, every doubt you've ever faced. You've been shackled by chains that were never meant to define you. But those chains, they don't have to hold you anymore. You are not their prisoner. You are their conqueror. It's time to let go of the weight. It's time to step into your power. It's time to rise. Rock bottom, It's a place you never intended to visit, yet somehow you found yourself there. It doesn't announce its arrival. It creeps in slowly like a shadow stretching across the corners of your life until it swallows you whole. You wake up one day and realize you've been living in a fog, lost in a maze of your own thoughts, unable to find the exit. The chains may be broken, but their echoes linger. And in the silence, when the world isn't watching, those scars, the ones they left behind, whisper doubts that cut deeper than any wound. They tell you it's too late, that you've fallen too far, broken too much, and lost too many pieces of yourself to ever put them back together again. They tell you that no matter how hard you fight, you'll never be enough. Don't you see that you're just a threat, through out a piece of metal, through a cylinder carried deep within you? It is an exercise in suicidal force, and sometimes you believe them. You believe the lies they told you because they feel safer than facing the unknown. You've been told you're small for so long that the idea of being anything else feels impossible. But let me tell you something. They lied. Yes, you're tired. Yes, you've been hurt. But none of that means you're finished. None of that means you're powerless. Still, I know how it feels. I know what it's like to stare at the wreckage of your life and wonder if there's anything left worth saving. To feel like the walls are closing in, the weight pressing down, and no matter how much you scream, no one can hear you. I know what it's like to feel invisible in your pain, to look around and think, if I disappeared today, would anyone even notice? But let me tell you something about rock bottom. It's a place of truth. It strips away the masks, the pretenses, and the lies we tell ourselves. It forces you to confront the raw, unfiltered reality of your life. And that's terrifying, isn't it? To see yourself so clearly, without the distractions or excuses. To face the parts of you that you've been running from. But here's the thing. Rock bottom isn't the end. It's a foundation. It's the solid ground you've been searching for, the place where you finally stop falling and realize you're still standing. But standing still isn't enough. Not here, not now. Because if you stay in this place, this dark, suffocating place of fear and self-doubt, the world will move on without you. Life doesn't wait. The clock keeps ticking, the days keep passing, and every moment you spend stuck in this cycle of despair is a moment you'll never get back. So ask yourself, is this it? Is this all you were meant to be? Is this the legacy you want to leave behind? I know it's hard to see a way out right now. The pain feels endless, the darkness impenetrable. You've spent so long fighting just to keep your head above water that the idea of swimming to shore feels like a fantasy. But here's the truth. The shore is closer than you think. The only thing keeping you from reaching it is the belief that you can't. The belief that you're not strong enough, brave enough, or worthy enough to fight for yourself. But those beliefs, they're not yours. They were planted in you by people who didn't want you to rise, and it's time to uproot them. Fear is the prison they built for you. It's the invisible chain that keeps you tethered to a life that's smaller than the one you deserve. It tells you that stepping out is dangerous, that the unknown is too risky, that failure is inevitable. But let me tell you something about fear. It's a liar. Fear thrives on inaction. It feeds on hesitation. The longer you stay still, the stronger it grows. But the moment you take a step, any step, it begins to lose its power. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you stay here, paralyzed by fear, weighed down by doubt? I'll tell you what happens. Life goes on. The world keeps spinning. Opportunities pass you by. The dreams you've buried stay buried. The person you were meant to be fades further and further into the distance until they're nothing more than a shadow, a memory of what could have been. And that's not a life. It's a slow death. You don't deserve that. No one does. But the truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to reach into the darkness and pull you out. This fight, it's yours. And I know that feels overwhelming. I know it feels unfair, but let me tell you something. You are capable of more than you realize. The same strength that got you this far, the same strength that kept you alive when everything in you wanted to give up, it's still there. It's waiting for you to tap into it, to use it, to rise with it. You've been taught to fear failure, to see it as an ending, a final verdict on your worth. But failure isn't the enemy. Staying down is. Giving up is. Letting the fear of what might go wrong keep you from discovering what could go right. That's the real tragedy. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every effort, no matter how imperfect, is progress. And progress is the antidote to despair. I want you to picture something. Imagine a version of yourself 5 years from now. Someone who stayed stuck, who let fear win, who kept dragging the weight of those chains even though they were broken. What does that person look like? Are they happy, fulfilled, proud of the life they've built? Or are they still haunted by the same doubts, the same pain, the same what-ifs? Am I doing enough to release my stuck? Are they a fugitive of my past? Are they doing too much, my work, my behaviors. Now, imagine a different version of yourself. Someone who decided in this moment to stop letting fear dictate their life. Someone who took the risk, who faced the unknown, who fought for their dreams even when it felt impossible. What does that person look like? Are they stronger, braver, more alive? I think you know the answer, and I think you know which version of yourself deserves to exist. The chains may be gone, but the scars they left behind don't have to define you. Yes, they're there. Yes, they tell a story, but they are not the whole story. They are a chapter in a book that's still being written. And the next chapter, that's up to you. You get to decide what happens next. You get to decide whether this is the beginning of your comeback or the end of your fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. The road ahead won't be easy. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when the doubt creeps back in, when the fear feels overwhelming. But every time you push through, every time you take a step forward despite the pain, you'll grow stronger. And eventually you'll look back at this moment, the moment you decided to rise, and realize it was the turning point, the moment your story changed. This isn't the end, not for you, not even close. The chains are gone, the scars are fading, and the strength you need to move forward, it's already inside you. It always has been. You just have to believe in it. You just have to take the first step. Because the alternative, the life you'll have if you stay here, in this place of fear and self-doubt, isn't a life at all, and you deserve so much more than that. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. The chains they used to hold you back, they're broken. You don't have to stay here anymore. Not in the darkness, not in the self-doubt, not in the fear of what might happen if you step into your power. The moment you decide to step forward, to leave the past behind, something shifts. It's not magic, it's not some secret formula. It's the power you've always had within you, the power to choose, to change, to rise. And today, right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, stuck in the ashes of what used to be, or you can rise like the phoenix you were always meant to be. You are not defined by the weight of your past. You are not the mistakes you made or the things that happened to you. You are the person who survived it all. And now, it's time to rebuild. It's time to transform. Think of your pain as fire. It's been relentless, hasn't it? It's burned you, scorched you, left marks that will never fade. But fire doesn't just destroy, it transforms, it purifies, it forges. Every painful moment you've endured has shaped you into something stronger, something unbreakable. Pain is the forge in which your true strength is shaped. And when the flames subside, what rises from them is something entirely new, something stronger, more resilient, and more powerful than it was before. Just like steel in a blacksmith's fire, your resilience is crafted through the heat of your struggles. It doesn't break you, it makes you. Every time you thought you couldn't go on, every time you thought you would crumble, you didn't. You're still here, you're still standing, and that is no small thing. Every scar you carry is a badge of survival, proof that you've endured what should have destroyed you. And each one of those scars has made you who you are today, a force to be reckoned with. You've been told that your vulnerability is something to hide, something to be ashamed of. But that's not the truth. The truth is that your scars are your power. They are the marks of a warrior who fought and won. They are the battle wounds of someone who dared to dream, even when the world tried to shut them down. And now, they're a part of your story, your powerful, unstoppable story. The time has come to challenge the lies you've been told. Let's take those doubts, those fears, and those limiting beliefs and tear them down, one by one. You've been told that you're weak, that your past defines you, that because you've struggled, you will always struggle. But let me ask you this, who survives a storm and still stands? Who endures the darkest nights, the fiercest winds, and still finds the strength to rise again? The strong, that's who. And you are strong. You have always been strong. You've been through hell, and you're still standing on your feet. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you a warrior. Every time you've doubted yourself, you've listened to a voice that wasn't yours. You've listened to the voice of fear, of limitation, of you can't. But that voice, it's not you. It's the echo of others who were too afraid to follow their own dreams, too afraid to face their own fears. It's the voice of the people who couldn't see your potential because they couldn't see their own. Thanks to you, we can make it different. We can help things. Thanks to you, we can make a difference. Both of us. And it's time to silence that voice. It's time to listen to the voice inside you, the one that says, I am capable. I am worthy. I am strong enough to fight for what I want. You've been told that you're not enough. But let me remind you, you've already made it this far. You've carried mountains on your back and walked through fire. What's stopping you from climbing one now? What's stopping you from reaching higher? From pushing beyond the limits that others have set for you? You are the one who decides what you're capable of. No one else. You have everything you need inside you. It's time to trust yourself And yes, I know what you're thinking. I know the doubts that creep in, the voices in your head that say, but what if I fail? What if I try and I still don't make it? And to that I say, so what? What if you do fail? What if you stumble? The truth is, failure is a part of the journey. It's not the end. It's simply the lesson you need to learn to get stronger, to get better, to get closer to who you're meant to be. The real failure is never trying. The real failure is letting fear win. The real failure is convincing yourself that you're not worth the fight. So ask yourself, are you going to let fear dictate your life? Are you going to let the doubts, the voices of not enough, be louder than the truth of your strength, your resilience, and your potential? The choice is yours, always has been, and it's time to choose yourself. You've carried mountains before. What's stopping you from climbing one now? You've survived storms that should have broken you. What's fucking around? For more information, or to get suspended from 6 to 10 days, go to ARRR-SUIT. What's stopping you from using the strength you've gained to build something unstoppable? You are capable of more than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. You've always had the power. Now it's time to tap into it. The road ahead won't always be smooth, and that's okay. You don't need perfection. You need persistence. You need faith in yourself, even when the world doubts you. Because in the end, the only opinion that matters is yours. And you've got this. You were born for this. It's time to step into your power, to rise higher than you ever thought possible, and to take what's yours. The future belongs to those who are brave enough to claim it. You've always been capable of greatness. Now it's time to believe it. You are ready. The chains have been broken, the scars have made you stronger, and the time to rise is now. This is the moment you've been waiting for. You felt it stirring deep inside you. This awareness that you are more than what they said you were, more than the sum of your scars, your failures, your fears. For so long, you've been living in the shadow of what they thought you were, what they wanted you to be. But today, in this moment, you realize something that changes everything. They tried to bury you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. And now, it's time to grow. They couldn't break you, no matter how hard they tried. They couldn't crush your spirit, no matter how many times they whispered lies or how often they told you that you'd never make it. They thought they had the power to decide your fate, to determine what you could achieve, who you could become. But they were wrong. The truth was inside you all along, just waiting for the right moment to bloom. You see, they underestimated you. They thought their words, their judgments, and their limitations would be enough to silence you. But what they didn't realize is that your soul is not fragile. It's forged in the fires of adversity. You were never meant to be broken. You were always meant to rise. They thought they could bury you. They thought they could bury your dreams, your ambitions, your strength. But they didn't realize that the very thing they tried to crush was your foundation. The dirt they threw over you, it was just the soil you needed to grow. And now you are standing on the precipice of your own transformation. The chains are gone. They've fallen away piece by piece. The shackles of fear, doubt, and limitation, they've crumbled. You are free. But freedom isn't a given. Freedom is a choice. The question now is, will you walk away from those chains, or will you stand still and stare at the ground where they fell? This is your moment, your turning point, the moment when you decide what your life will look like from here on out. You've always had the power to change, to evolve, to become. You just had to realize it. Now that you know, now that you've awakened to the truth of who you really are, the choice is yours. You are not your pain. You are not their lies. You are not the weight they tried to crush you with. You are power. You are resilience. You are unstoppable. Every lie they told you is falling away, and all that remains is your truth. All that remains is the strength that was hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to burst through. With each step forward, you are reclaiming your power. With each decision you make, you are rewriting the narrative. The past no longer has a hold on you. You are no longer defined by the mistakes you've made, the people who hurt you, or the struggles you've faced. You are defined by the person you choose to become. And that person is limitless. What will you do with your freedom? Will you keep running from your potential, or will you finally face it head on? Will you fight for the life you know you deserve, or will you let fear keep you from stepping into your greatness? The path ahead may be uncertain, but that's exactly how it's meant to be. The unknown is not a threat. It's a playground for the brave. It's where the magic happens, where the possibilities are endless, and where you can finally shed the version of yourself that no longer serves you. Will you rise? That's the question. Will you rise from the ashes of your past and soar toward the person you were always meant to be? Or will you remain in the safety of what you know, keeping yourself small and hiding from your own potential? This is your defining moment. You've survived the storm. You've made it through the darkest days, and now the light is at the end of the tunnel. It's waiting for you. Your freedom is calling. You can hear it in the wind, in your heart, in the quiet whisper of your soul that tells you, now is your time. The chains are gone. The past is no longer your master. The question is, what will you do with this newfound power? Will you take it, mold it, shape it, and create the life you've always dreamed of? Or will you leave it behind, out of fear, out of habit, out of complacency? The world is waiting for you. You are waiting for you. The time to rise is now. What are you going to do? This is your moment. The time to rise is now. The world is waiting for you, but more importantly, you are waiting for you. You've been hiding for too long, hiding from your power, your potential, your purpose, but not anymore. The chains have fallen, the darkness has receded, and standing before you is a future that is yours to claim. The only thing left to do is take the first step, and that step, it's simple. Stand up, take a step, and show the world what happens when chains are broken. This isn't just a call to action. It's your call to freedom, to everything you've dreamed of, everything you've fought for, and everything you're capable of. The person you've been waiting for isn't going to show up in a miracle. That person is already inside you, waiting for permission to rise. So give it to them. Give yourself the freedom to step into your power. Show the world what happens when someone refuses to stay broken, because when you rise, everyone around you rises too. When you stand tall, the world will take notice, and it will be forced to see you as the force of nature you've always been. Reframe everything you've been through as preparation. Every tear, every failure, every setback. They were not obstacles, they were lessons. Every single thing they threw at you, every attempt they made to break you, has only made you stronger. You were not the same person you were before the struggle. You are stronger, sharper, and more resilient. You've been tempered by fire, honed by hardship, and polished by perseverance. Now it's time to use that strength to fuel your journey forward. Now, use it. Use everything you've learned, every scar you've earned, to propel yourself forward. Don't let it be wasted. Your pain, your past, all of it, it's your foundation. You are standing on a mountain of everything you've overcome, and it's from that foundation that you will build your future. This is your story. This is your time. No more waiting, no more wondering, no more second guessing yourself. It's time to believe in yourself the way I've always believed in you. So, what's the first step? Simple. Believe in yourself. Stop waiting for the world to give you permission. Stop asking for validation. You've already proven to yourself, time and again, that you can face adversity and come out stronger. The first step is to trust that the same power that's carried you through the darkest days is the same power that will lead you to success. Trust in your strength. Trust in your journey. The second step, prove to yourself what you already know. You're unstoppable. Don't wait for someone else to tell you. Don't wait for the stars to align. Prove it to yourself with every action, every decision, every step you take. Your greatness is not a question, it's a fact. And now, it's time to show the world. Your time has come. Every dream you've held on to, every goal you've set, is within your reach. All it takes is you believing that you can have it, and going after it with everything you've got. You are capable. You are worthy. You are a force to be reckoned with. This is the moment you stop hiding. This is the moment you step into the person you were always meant to be. The world may have doubted you, but no one will doubt you now. The only person who needs to believe in you is you. And I'm telling you now, you have everything you need to succeed. You are ready. In the end, they thought they broke you. They thought their words, their actions, their betrayals could take you down. But what they didn't understand is that everything they did to you only made you unbreakable. Every struggle, every heartache, every challenge, it all forged you into the person you are today. And now, it's your time to rise. Your time to claim everything you've worked for. Your time to stand in your power, unapologetically and boldly. You choose to fight back against your past, or you choose to fight forward into your future. You choose to find anything and everything that you want. So rise, step forward, show the world exactly what you're made of, because you are unstoppable, and it's time the world saw that for itself.